Hey guys, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com and welcome to my first ever studio tour. Okay, I'm going to show you around my brand new studio, but real quick, there's 3 reasons why I'm doing this video. Number 1, I have never ever done a studio tour in the history of the Recording Revolution, which at this point is 5 years in. That's reason number 1, never done one. Number 2, I'm constantly asked from you guys to do one. Like constantly. I've got 5 years worth of people asking me to do studio tour, and I finally have caved in. And number 3, what I want to show you is that I run a very simple setup. It may seem maybe more complex than yours, or maybe yours are more complex than mine. Mine has changed in appearance over the years as I've moved or as things have changed. But honestly, at its core, it's the same simple setup that it's always been. So I'm going to show you around, show you my gear, show you my setup. Let's take a look. Okay, at its core, what we're looking at is a single room. That's all my studio is one room that was a one-car garage, converted one-car garage. So if you can imagine a typical American one-car garage, this could fit one car in it and a little bit of walking room around that car. So we had this room converted, walls built out. Straight ahead of you is where the garage door is. At least it still looks like that on the outside. That was sealed, insulated, walled out. To the left is a wall they built looking out to the rest of the garage, because we cut the garage in half basically. And to the right is a wall that they built on top of the outside wall. So they totally insulated this thing. We stuffed it with pretty heavy duty sound absorption insulation, as well as 2 layers of drywall. One is a fireproof drywall. It's pretty heavy duty, and one is regular drywall, so really thick walls. But all it is a one-car garage. And we put wood laminate floor down, pretty cheap from Home Depot, because it looks like wood but doesn't cost as much. So yeah, one room, very, very simple. So let's start with the main stuff, and then I'll show you around. Okay, so the first thing that has to come in a studio is a leather sofa. And I rarely sit on it, but at least once a day I get up and I sit on it to remind myself that it's in the room. I just have always wanted a leather sofa, and about 2.5 years ago I bought one from IKEA because it was a really good deal and it was on sale. And I feel cooler having a leather sofa. I'm sure that helps somehow in some way, psychologically. Hanging up a couple of guitars, bass, that kind of stuff to save room. It's always a great move if your room is tight like mine. Over here, Super Mario World is on and ready to go. I pretty much have a video game station over here, Super Nintendo, circa 1991, a GameCube, circa 2002, Xbox 360, circa whatever, 2005, 2006, you name it. These rarely get played. If I'm really stressed out and I really need to relax, I'm glad that I've got Mario in my studio, but it's just nice to know they are there. And makes me happy sometimes, takes me back to my happy place, which is late 80s, early 90s. For all you video game hardcore people, those were the golden years. All right. God, I got some books. I love business books and audio books. I'm constantly learning and reading, and that's how I continue to expand my mind, because I don't know it all. So I always have books to collection, and now I read on the Kindle. So my book collection is dwindling because they're all digital. Got my Vox AC-15 because it's awesome. Even though I rarely record with it these days, I just play with it. It's just awesome to have it in the room. Okay, on to the important stuff. In the room around, I've got a Prime Acoustic London 12 set of acoustic panels. Okay, so in the past, I've used RLX room kits for many years. I really, really like them. Last couple years, I was interested in Prime Acoustic, their kits. So when I built out this room, I literally just swapped it out just to try it. And mostly so I can tell you guys about it. And so far I've been very impressed. I'm going to do a few projects on it and give you probably a review. I'm mixing an album starting next week, and so that'll be my first full album in this room with these panels. But they were really cool, pretty sturdy, and it's a great little setup, and it comes in a kit, and it's actually really affordable for an entire room kit. My biggest gift to myself this time around was this desk from Argosy. Okay, so I wanted a more substantial desk. This might be the most expensive thing I own, and it doesn't even contribute to the sound of my studio. It's literally just a solid wood desk. with 2 built-in racks, which is convenient for space savings time. So you can get whatever configuration you want with these desks. So I wanted 2 slanted racks and space in the middle for just my computer and keyboard and all that kind of stuff, and flat tops on the racks for the monitors. You don't have to have this configuration, but they custom build it for you. You have to tell them what you want. So got my monitors on the sides. Okay, so this desk was awesome. It was not cheap. Like I said, it's probably the most expensive thing I own, and it's just a desk. But when you work in a studio, and I do this full time, so when I'm working in here 8 hours a day, I was just tired of having a desk that was really, really light, and I wanted something heavy duty that I could lean on all day. It has the leather armrest. All of this is not necessary. It's just, like I said, a gift to me because I really wanted to work on something substantial. And everything is racked and wired in the back, and it's very clean looking. So really, really enjoy the desk. Is it necessary? No, it was just for fun. Okay, so the core of my studio, I'm running a Mac Mini server. Let's see if we can look at this with about this Mac. I don't know if you can see that. I'm running a 2 gigahertz quad core. No, it's not gonna. Yeah, stupid. It's not gonna focus for you. It's a 2 gigahertz Intel Core i7 quad core with 8 gigs of RAM on a Mac Mini. It's the Mac Mini server, which is the same as a Mac Mini. And again, once you watch this in the future, they'll probably change everything. I've had this for years. It's just a Mac Mini with 2 internal hard drives instead of an optical drive. That's all it is. So it is a very affordable computer. I think I got it for 800 bucks. I've had it for years, and it's a workhorse. Running that, my whole studio is basically, if you look at all this stuff, the core of what it is a Sapphire Pro 40 interface. This guy right here. This is a very affordable 8-channel, 8 mic pre Firewire interface. You get 2 on the front, which is great. So if I'm doing video tutorials for you guys, I'll plug right into this Sapphire pre. 6 more on the back. Got 2 headphone outs, which I love. I don't like interfaces with 1 headphone out because when I'm recording a talent, I want them to have their own custom headphone mix right off the front. Very, very easy. And it's expandable by ADAT, which I love. So below that, I've added 8 more Sapphire pre's from the Octapre. This is the Mark II Dynamic from Focusrite, which means it's 8 more of the exact same mic pre's in the Sapphire, only it's got 8 compressors as well, which is really, really cool. So these are very simple compressors. You can just dial them in with 1 knob, and then there's a more button, which basically adds a higher ratio. I use this for drums. So when I track drums in here, on my most recent album, I tracked drums for a client in New York. For 1 song, we brought in a drummer in here. I use this because it's clean mic pre's with great compression, and I can just compress everything, kick, snare, toms, room mic, whatever I want to do. And it's super easy. 1 cable light pipe in the back of the Sapphire. At its core, this is my studio. It's this interface. This is a $500 interface with 8 mic pre's built in. You can make a record off of this. I use this for everything. Okay, I've used Focusrite Sapphire pre's for years. I love them. I've had the Liquid Sapphire 56, which is the exact same thing, only it has some more bells and whistles. And I ended up trading that in to get this and the Octapre Mark II Dynamic, so I could have 16 pre's in the same amount of rack space. Because when I travel, a lot of times I'll fly and record bands. I could only take 8 pre's in that 2 rack space. Now I can take 16 pre's and 8 compressors all in the same amount of space. So for me, it was just a space-saving thing. But I love Focusrite, and I love their pre's and their interfaces, and I love their mix control software. It's very easy to set up headphone mixes, and I use it all the time. Okay, now right above it, I'm using the Presonus Central Station, which is just a monitor control thing. Very, very simple. It allows me to hook up 2 pairs of monitors, a main pair, and then this little guy here, which I'll show you in a minute. You can add another pair. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. So it's just a control box. I've used the Samson C Control before as well, which is probably the most affordable one out there, maybe $99. Very, very handy. This has TalkBack built in, which is great if you have another room, which I don't. So TalkBack is easy. I just turn around and say, hey, let's do it again. And it has a remote switch, which is cool, so I can switch everything with my right hand over here. which is very, very handy. So it's literally just for switching between monitors, and it's got a mono button and a dim switch. So when I mix in mono, I hit the mono button on that bad boy. If it'll focus, maybe not. Anyway, mono button, and that's how I control things. Okay, now you'll look here. This is a patch bay. Okay, this is from Art. Literally, I had to get this for this desk. All this is 16 connectors for XLR. It's a passive box. It's not powered. It's literally like mic cables built inside. And so it's got XLR ins on the front with matching XLR outs underneath. And this is what allows me to, like all these 8 pre's here, all the connections are in the back. So to connect 1 through 8 here, I've got it on 9 through 16 here. So I plug in here, and I've already got it wired to go into this pre. So I'm literally doing this for ease of use. I've got underneath the hood and wired everything up. Now I can just plug into any of my pre's. It's pre-wired, and it's super, super clean and easy. This is a super affordable box, and it's just mostly because I can't access the back of my rack. It was a one-time deal. Very, very handy piece of gear. Very, very simple to access any of my pre's. Okay, over on the other side, this stuff looks more fun because it's more colorful, but don't be confused. It's just as handy as the other stuff on the left. So I've got just 2 pre's. Up here I've got the Eureka from Personas. I don't think they make this anymore, which is a shame. This is one of the best buys out there if you're looking for a channel strip. Channel strips are basically an external mic pre with a compressor and an EQ all in one. It's like having a strip of a console. And this is helpful because when I'm recording vocals or drums or anything, I can tweak the EQ and compression all the way in so that the sound sounds the way I want it to sound on day one before I actually get to mixing. It already sounds good. So I use this a lot of times for vocals because I like to compress my singers on the way in, and it's very, very helpful. I've had the Eureka for a long time. You can probably get it used on eBay for maybe 300 bucks, which is amazing. Just below this is one of my most recent pickups. It is a Focusrite ISA or ISA 220. Now, I'm a big fan of Focusrite. I already have their interfaces. These are their transformer-based pre's based off of their consoles. So it's a very warm analog sounding pre, and they're usually very expensive. This is a channel strip as well, so it's not only the pre, but it's also the EQ, the compressor, and the de-esser. Okay. This normally is like a $2,000 box, and I got one on eBay for under 700 bucks. Okay, so I got it used, and it was in great shape, and they don't make this version anymore. They make a newer, updated version, so that's part of why it's like a 10-year-old version, and they've since added more bells and whistles. But get on eBay if you want a piece of gear for cheap, because literally this came in almost flawless condition for under 700 bucks, so about the price of like a budget channel strip. I got a much, much more expensive one, and I just like the sound of the ISAs. I've used them before in studios, never really owned one, and I wasn't going to pay full price for one, and I saw a good deal on eBay, and so I snagged it up. So I'm going to start using this on sessions just because it sounds different than the Sapphire pre's. The Sapphire pre's are very clean. Those are the ones in my interface, and these are a different tone. So like I will record drums and guitars and a bunch of stuff on those, and maybe I'll record vocals and acoustic guitar on one of these guys because they're both transformer pre's and they sound different, which again makes mixing easier because they already have a different tone on the way in. And right below that I have my 11 rack. I've reviewed this before from Avid, and it's one of the best buys out there. I got this used on eBay for 300 bucks, or you can buy it brand new right now for $6.99, and it comes with Pro Tools, a full copy of Pro Tools, which by itself costs $6.99. So you basically get Pro Tools or you get this for free. It's insane. And this model, some of the best amps on the planet, and cabinets and microphones, and it sounds amazing. I literally bought one also for live when I play with the worship band at church because it just sounds that good and it's that easy. And it's bright orange, which is cool because it's the same color as my logo. How did they know that? So that's all the stuff going into the box. It's very, very simple, very, very affordable stuff. But keep in mind, this kind of stuff you don't need. Okay, I just added these for different colors because I like the tonal colors. I like the sounds they add to blend with all my pre's in the Sapphire. Okay, over here, which is blurry in this moment. There you go, focus. Okay, just using a simple Axiom Mini Air 32 from a keyboard controller. I cannot play piano, but I trigger a lot of different virtual instruments and this is how I do it. It plugs right into Pro Tools. My main monitors are, these days, PreSonus Aris E8s, if it'll ever focus. Maybe not. Okay, these are their 8-inch woofer active boxes, and they just came out maybe a year ago. There we go. I got these because I like PreSonus. I use a lot of their gear, as you can tell, and I had 5-inch speakers for a long time, and I moved into a bigger room, and I was doing more mastering and wanted more low end because I couldn't really hear very well below, say, 50 hertz or 60 hertz. And so I wanted a little more low end, and so the 8-inch woofer gives me a little bit more of that. And on the back of these speakers, they have a lot more controls for room acoustics. Some speakers have like one high frequency switch, and these have high and low and then mid as well, in a lot of ways to control it. So you can actually tune these speakers to your room, which is very, very cool. You may notice I do not have them on those RLX little chairs that they sit on that usually decouple them from the desk. Usually I have my speakers on those. In this room, when I set it up, because again I just set it up this past week, there wasn't enough bass response, so I actually took them away because I wanted a little bit more bass response to sound more accurate. So it's vibrating a little bit through the desk, which actually to me sounds more balanced. So if you don't have enough bass, you actually don't need those things. I mix primarily on those, and then this guy I wrote about on the blog. This is my Behringer Baritone, $99 Oratone knockoff, very mid-range heavy speaker, and I have it set to mono, and I reference my mixes through this every single time because this reveals the mid-range beautifully. Go look at my post about the best $99 you can spend to instantly get better mixes, and you'll hear more about why this works. It's such a great idea to have something like this. So there you have it, friends. That is my setup. At its core, I'm running a Mac with a Firewire interface that cost me $500, and then all I've done is expanded that interface with more pre's because I do drums, 2 different pre's that sound different because they're transformer based, and they have compressors and EQ on the way in, so I use it to sculpt the sound, kick drum, snare, vocals, that kind of stuff, more control. I have an amp simulator box with 11 racks, so I don't have to mic up amps anymore, and I can have lots of different sounding amps in less space, and affordable monitors, and like a keyboard controller. I mean, that's all my studio is. It's the same stuff that I've been using for 15, 20 years. It's just looks a little different. But the exact same components that I talk about here on the site, here on YouTube. Studio is a very simple thing these days, and it's super, super low cost. All you need is an interface and a computer and some software, and you can go for it. So I hope that gives you an idea of what you can do in a transformed space. Like I said, I'm in a garage. It's a 1-car garage. You can even see over here my lawn sprinkler system controller. Literally, it had to still be tied into the wall. So we had to move it when we built a new wall, but we couldn't get rid of it. So I'm literally still in my garage, okay? So I can't get away from it. All right, that's all I'm saying is it's really a garage. It's pretty ghetto, but I try to make it as pretty as possible. And you can do this in any room of your house. You don't need anything special. It's not a perfect room. It's not completely soundproof. We did a lot of good stuff in here, but it's not perfect. And I still have to learn it. I still have to do some mixes till I can get used to this room. But that's what I'm working with. That's how I'm mixing. That's why I'm giving you tutorials out of my new home studio, the Recording Revolution. It's nothing crazy. Hope that gives you some things to think about. Hope that encourages you and you get some insight into what you can do in your home studio. If you have any questions, leave them on the blog. I don't really have time to answer all the questions on YouTube, so head over to the recordingrevolution.com and ask questions on that actual post, and I'll be able to respond there. Thanks for following the Recording Revolution. Thanks for being a subscriber. If you guys weren't enjoying the videos, there'd be no point for me to spend my time doing this. If they didn't help you, I would move on with my life and do something else because I don't want to waste my time or yours. But the fact that it's resonating with you is what keeps me going. Thank you for all the encouraging messages and emails. It's a lot of work to do what I do. Not everybody loves what I have to say, so it's not all roses and fun. But most of you guys have been so supportive, so it just means a lot to me. I'm going to continue to try to do my best to add value to your life through free content week in and week out. Thanks so much for your time. Go make some great music this week using the tools that you have, and most importantly, have fun. Take care.